Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about dimensioning isometric circles, which can be tricky. So the first thing to point out is that in order to do it, to mention any circle, you should come up here and you should go to radius or diameter. So we're going to do that, and we're going to try to select on our circle, and it won't select it because it doesn't view it as a circle or an arc. It just views it as an object. Because it's an ellipse, it's really difficult to dimension. So it has to be dimensioned by hand. And so the way that you'll do that is you'll use an M leader, right? So if we click M leader and we click on our object and we pull off, now it's going to allow us the opportunity to type what our dimension is. So you're going to need to know what the dimension of this circle that you drew as an ellipse in an isometric view, what that diameter should be. So diameter or radius, whatever, depending on what it is. So we don't know what that is. So I'm going to hit escape out of this. I'm going to delete this right off of here. And then I'm going to go back up here to aligned. So what I need to get is, if you don't have it from the drawing, then you need to get it from your CAD drawing, which can also be difficult. So if we remember from doing this drawing, this diameter was 0.5, right? So if I come up to my drawing and I click on my center point and I draw it over here, I get a radius of 0.3062, which is like a diameter of 0.6. So clearly that's not it. What we want to do is, in order to do that, if we click on our center point, if we pull our dimension off at an isometric angle, right, at a 30-degree angle, so I can go this way, I could probably even go this way, but either way, I'm going to go this way at a 30-degree angle, and I'm going to pull off. You'll see it gives me my radius of 0.25. So now I know what that was supposed to be. Okay, so let's come back in here, and I'm going to take this off so that you don't really see it yet. I'm going to put it back on standard where it was, and I'll show you what that's all about in a minute. But if we go to M leader and we click off of here, we have two things we have to do. One is we can either put a diameter or a radius. If we're dealing with radius, we're just going to type R 0.25. And if it's a hole that goes all the way through the object, we want to type in THRU, all in caps. TRU, sorry. And what that says is that this hole goes all the way through our object. So radius 0.25, true. All right, so let's go back and look at it in our other view. Remember how we've talked a lot about making annotative dimensions, right? So annotative dimensions, if we remember what those are, if I click here and I make this 1-to-1, you see my text pops back up to a certain size so that no matter what, it always stays readable. 3-to-1, it gets small again. Well, if I bounce around here to where that object is, where's the one I just dimensioned? Down here, you'll notice my text is really big because that M leader that I just put on isn't annotative. So let's go back into my drawing and we'll fix that. So we'll go to model and we'll delete this, and we go to annotation, and so we have text style, we have dimension style, and now we have a spot for M leader style. So I've already made this one called ISO M leader, but if you go to new and you name it ISO M leader, which I would suggest naming it the same thing, click annotative and then just go with the default settings, you should be okay. So if you notice, if I come back here, I go to my M leader, and I'll pull it off, and again I'll say radius 0.25 TRU, caps TRU. Okay, so now let's just make sure I had it in the right one, and no, see, it was still standard, so I'm going to change it from standard to ISO M leader. Now I'll come back down here to my drawing where I was looking at that, whichever one I just had. I don't see it, so we'll have to go find it. So, oh boy. Sorry, we lost our place where it was, but we'll fix it. So let's go and dim all this up, find our object. That's the one we're working on. So if I go 1-to-1, see my things pop up. If I change it from 1-to-1 to, I don't know, 3-to-1, should get really big, but it kicks back down, and that's what we're trying to accomplish so that we get consistent sizes. Okay, so that's how I would deal with that hole. Let's look at some of the other objects on here and how I might dimension them. Right? I have my cylinder, so let's figure out what the dimension of my cylinder was. So if I come up here and I go to aligned, click on my center point, pull it a 30-degree, hit that isometric, and so my dimension here was 0.86660, which, if you remember right, we were just randomly drawing a size of things, so it wasn't as important. Same kind of deal here for this one. So if I was going to do this one, let's do this one just as a good practice. So if I go to aligned and I go here and I pull down at an angle, see, that's 0.5, so that's fine. So let's put an M leader on here. We'll just pull it this direction just because it's easy enough. And so we'll say 0.5 or radius, 0.5. In fact, you know what? I might regret this, but let's do this. Let's go, instead of radius, let's go 0.5, and let's put the diameter on, 1.00. And let's add a symbol. So if I right-click, I'm going to go edit this because I clicked off of it. Okay? If I right-click on this and I go to symbol, so the thing it's going to have it on here for me. That helps. So right here it says diameter. But if I want any other symbol, if I go to other, it gives me an entire list of different symbols that I can pull from. And oddly enough, and don't ask me the easy way to deal with all this, but if you go to different font types, it gives you different fonts. Don't ask me why. And I'll give you a good example. In fact, I'm going to put it in here just because it's a good one to show. So I'm going to go to GDT. I had to go find this. Sometimes you'll have a hole that doesn't go all the way through. So like GDT, and I'm going to click on this arrow. So where are you? Right. Lost it. It's here. Oh shoot. GDT. And it was here. Let's see where it is now. Alright, so maybe I'm not going to show you that now. I guess I'll show you it at a different time. Oh, there it is right there. Depth. Okay. So hit select, and then we'll say copy. So then if I come in here, I'll show you where you would use this. So I'll hit enter, and I'll just put it down here. Okay. So in fact, we'll definitely use this. Well, this is the wrong place to use it. Let's copy this. Control C, and then let's bring in the diameter one. I'll show you where we would use it. So let's go symbol, and I can bring in diameter, which will put that. That circle with the line through it, anytime you see that, that means diameter. If it's a radius, it will show you radius. So we'll use that depth button in a second here. So let's go here. We'll go to align. We'll figure out what the inside circle is. So that's, oh, that was the outside circle. So inside circle is 0.2929. Oh, the other thing I did too that will help you is if you come back up here and you go to dimension style and you go to modify, I changed my precision to 4 decimal points because some of these you're gonna wanna have a little more precision just so you can create them. You can go back to where they should be when you're done, but while you're trying to figure out what the radiuses and the diameters are of your ellipses, I would set your precision to 4 decimal places. So okay, so back here. What was it 2929? So let's put another leader on here. So M leader, pop it from there. Okay, so we're gonna say radius 0.2929. Then we'll hit enter, and let's just pretend this circle doesn't go all the way down. So let's say we'll hit Control V. So when you see that arrow, that means it's telling you how deep it goes, and we'll just say 0.25. We'll click off of it, and so what we're saying now is that we have a circle that has a radius of 0.2929 and that has a depth of 0.25, meaning it goes down 0.25. So if I flipped this object over, it would be flat on the bottom. It wouldn't go all the way through. Again, it's just an example. I'll probably leave that on there for a dimension just for proof that we practiced it. But when we're done, we'll go through all of this. You know, the last one that might be a little tricky is doing the radiuses for arcs that we might have put in. So, and the best way to do that is you have to figure out where your center point is. So if you notice this, the center point is down here. If I click here, the center point is closer to it. So let's go to dimension, aligned. We'll click on the far one, and then we'll click on here. And so that's 0.4575. And let's just make sure we are talking about the right one. And you can see that we are. So 0.4575. Now I'll leader it off. Come this way. It's always better to put it at an angle. Makes it easier to read. But we'll say radius 0.4575. And we'll click that out of there. Delete that. So then we would do the same thing for the next one, right? We would go from here to here. So whatever, aligned. Right? We want to use that center point, and we want to come off at that angle, that 30-degree angle. So boom, 0.1768. And I'll do this one too, and I'll make this the last one. The rest of them you can kind of do on your own. So I guess we'll go from here. Want to try to keep your arrows away from each other. You want to make it easier for the reader to be able to see what that was. Another good trick is as you're lining up dimensions, so you want them to look kind of like like orderly. So if I grab from there and I pull down, right, now that'll help that. So radius 0.17768 inches if you want. Okay, click here, delete. So that's how we would deal with that. You know, maybe I would dimension this last one up here. You know what else could help too is what you should probably do is, if I double click on this, this radius exists 4 times. So what I can do is 4 times radius of 1.78. And so the reader is smart enough to assume that, okay, he's saying 4 times. That means he means here, 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 and here. And then maybe also I might not put this one here. Maybe I'll put this one on this arc so that I know my reader is going to be able to clearly tell which one I'm talking about. And I'm just grabbing grips and moving them around. Right? Maybe I'll put this other one down here. Was it the far one I think we still have to do? So maybe that one's going to be a tough one to dimension from there. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll just kick this one down a little bit. And then I'll go and do this one off of here. So again, I'm not going to put it in there. But if I was, maybe I would pull this one from here. Again, just doing my best to make sure that it's easy for the reader to tell what's what. You know, another good thing was a good dimensioning practice. If I'm over here doing a cylinder, if this is a circle, you don't want to dimension this like this. You don't want to go here to here. You want to go and not put that, well, I'll put the other one on and I'll make my point. So let's go aligned and click there. Come off of my 30 degree, 0.8660. So I'll go radius, click on here someplace, like there. Radius 0.8660. Great. And then because I have that now, I can delete this. Like, I don't need this object on here anymore. So I can delete that out of there. And that's how you should handle that. You know, you might want to say 2 times just to imply the bottom. But whenever you have a circle, you should try to dimension it as a radius. All right, that should handle most of what you're going to need to figure out in order to deal with isometric circles and how to dimension those. The other thing, too, is I'm going to come back and I'm going to finish this in a little bit. Don't forget to put your top, front, and right on each side when you can. Obviously, that's not going to happen for the coffee cup and the cylinder, but when you can. Don't forget to turn all of your isometric dimensions. See, these aren't turned, but these ones are the way they should be. And then you're going to go through and start making your sheets. So that should be enough for today. If you have any questions, good luck and go to work.